Hello, I got another fun bit for you. Okay, so I'm coming up off of the bench on this one right here. So let me get straight to the question. Here goes the question. Who forms you? And here goes your options. A for man, B for God, or C for I don't care. This is a fun question, and we're going to circle back to this point, but I want to show you something that set me off, okay? Here goes another question. I'm going to ask this question first before I show you. Well, you're probably going to see the image on the screen, but I'm going to talk about it, okay? Here goes the other question. Who enforces the law in your neighborhood? A for the executive, or B for I don't care. All right. So I'm asking this one for a very specific reason. All right. So you're going to see on this bit where we pulled this image. Who was this image that we pulled it from so I can cite the source? His name on X is Make LA Great Again. And then it says LA loves Trump, right? This is what this dude's bit right here is saying. And then, we know that some people are going to get upset because they get upset whenever they hear this term Trump, right? It makes them feel a certain way in their mind. And I mean, it's kind of interesting to see because you get to see how people react based off of the words that they hear. Okay, so this is what this man put on the screen because one of the manager classes that is running for governor of California right now, who would happen to be on the blue team, he said that don't go to the taco shops that are owned by companies or established in a brick and mortar. He said go to the taco shops that are on the streets, right? If you want a real taco in California or in LA, right? And we thought that was a very interesting comment that he made out there in the public, right? So this is what this dude put together because of this bit right here. He says unfair play in LA, right? And then when you drop down, it says brick and mortar restaurants, they pay rents, they pay taxes, they pay permits, they pay for insurance and health inspections, right? Many street vendors operate without them. Okay, so you have one entity that is operating under the statutory laws, and then you have another entity that is operating under the lawless, right? They're completely lawless, okay? Many street vendors, those will be the street vendors. Many street vendors operate without them, and the city rarely enforces the rules. All right. So when you see this bit right here, when you see the city, just in your mind, think the executive, right? So the city has an executive branch, and this executive branch is supposed to execute and follow the laws that are on the books, right? And we're finding out right now that most of them don't even follow the laws, right? They don't follow them. They don't execute them. They don't enforce them. And we think that's really sad. And the reason being is because you have a specific managerial class in that position, and they either don't know the law or they know the law, and then they hope and then they pray and then they make sure that the people who they're managing these properties for don't know the law. Okay, but we're here to show you the law, right? So we thought that this was a very interesting bit because of that image right there, and we really feel bad for that citizen, who pays the taxes, for that citizen who has a high overhead because of the rents that are going on. We feel really bad for them, but sometimes they get what they get because they don't listen, right? So I really don't fault the citizens, and I don't fault the managers, and then I don't fault the lawbreakers. I just fault the people. I fault the people on this one. That means me, and that means you, my neighbor. So the people, we drop the ball on this one right here because we don't execute the law, right? So when we depend on our managerial class and we let them execute the law, then we see that they're not going to do what's best interest for the people. They're going to do what's best interest for them and whoever's paying them, and we don't like that. Okay, so now let's circle back to my point right here. Here was my question that I started this off with, is that who forms you, right? I'm asking this with all my neighbors, and I'll know who forms you because of the words that come out of your mouth and how you move and how you operate. But here goes your options right here. Who forms you? A for man, B for God, or C for I don't care. Okay, so I got some terms and some conditions right here because I built this bit. Here goes the terms, and I'm going to read them, and I want you to focus on the bold bits too, okay? Check out what form is, okay? I'm building something right now. Form is the shape, Okay, so when I'm asking this question, there's something that shapes you, right? So the shape or external appearance of a body. So who shapes your body, right? And now check out this bit right here, reward. We like this one right here. Reward is return. Reward is to give in return, right? Either good or evil. Right. So there's going to be a reward. Somebody's going to get something in return. It's either going to be good or evil. It really doesn't matter. OK, this is what you would call this agnostic. All right. Check out this bit right here. Now, fool. This is what fool is. One who is destitute of reason. All right. That's what a fool is. It means you don't have any type of reasoning capabilities. OK. Or the common powers of understanding, right? So you can't reason and you can't understand. Example. So I can put something in your face and I can show you and I can ask you some questions. I can say, well, here goes the operating procedure and this is how the instructions are. And this is the instructions on how things are built. And this is what you're supposed to do. And this is what you're not supposed to do. Do you agree to the terms and conditions? And some people will look at it and they'll just be like, I don't care. And then that individual or that entity right there falls under the category of a fool. Okay. What else is a fool? An idiot. We like this one right here. These are fun biblical terms. Okay. Now check out what transgress is. So we're walking this down for a very specific reason. Okay. So look at what transgress is. Transgress is to offend by violating a law. Okay, so an example of somebody who is transgressing the law would be those street vendors that are operating without a permit. They are transgressing the law. Okay, but the reason why they're able to transgress the law is because the people that live in those communities might be fools, right? They might be fools because they don't know what the law is, and therefore anybody else can transgress the law. They can violate the law. They can go way beyond what it is that they're supposed to be doing, right? So that was how it would be in the secular world, right? But in the biblical world, in my father's world, when you transgress, that means to sin. And when you sin, that means you're missing the mark, right? You're not on target, okay? And we know that there's a lot of people sinning right there, right now, because we can just see from their words and their actions, right? And sometimes it is what it is and you get what you get. I can go on and on about that transgress bit, but I'm not, because I want to keep this one tight. Okay. Now check out execute. So I'm showing you what execute is because this is what I do. I execute, but execute also means to follow. So what do I follow? I follow my Father's word. Where's my Father's word? It's in the Holy Bible. Okay. Who is my Father's word? Jesus Christ. Okay. And you'll never be able to move me from that position. All right. So check out what scripture says right here. So I'm just showing you where I get my terms and I get my conditions from. This is how I see things in reality. This is how I move and this is how I operate. And this is what I want to see how you move and how you operate, my neighbor. Okay. Check out this bit right here, what scripture says. Observations about fools, right? Now you know what a fool is. A fool is an idiot. A fool is somebody who can't not reason or they cannot understand. Okay. It doesn't mean that, like it's a bad thing. It just means that you can't do what you can do. Okay. So check out this bit right here. Observations, what you see about fools. The great God that formed all things. Okay. So the great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. Okay. So you see that bit right there? So when people are upset that entities like these vendors who are working outside of the law or lawless, right? And they're breaking the law and they're causing harm to the brick and mortar stores, right? And the reason why it's happening is because you have fools and you have transgressors, right? So you have people that they may be capable of opening up these businesses and following the law and paying the taxes and things like that. But for the most part, they might be fools when it comes to what the law is of their land. They don't know what the supreme law of their land is, right? They don't read their constitutions and they don't instruct their representatives. Therefore, they get what they get and they get treated how they get treated. And they also allow other people, transgressors, to come in and take their cookies, right? And it's fair because it says it right here. The great God is my father. Because Jesus is my brother, I've been washed in the blood of Christ, right? So that's the family I'm up under, okay? So God that formed all things, okay? So even if you don't believe in God, God formed everything, and you can't hide anymore, okay? So even the people who don't believe in God, they get rewards. They get rewards, and everybody else, we all get what we get, okay? And we're going to know who you serve. All right. So I'm going to close out with this question right here because it's a fun one and I love it. Okay. Who is your supreme authority? Here goes your three options. A for man, B for God, or C for I don't care. I want to know, right? I want to know, even though I'll know who your supreme authority is anyway, because, you'll tell me with your words and you'll tell me through your actions and your behavior who your master is, okay? And if you get butthurt over the term master, then I know something else is your master, all right? All right, so that's it. We're done. So I just wanted to lay that bit down. I wanted to show you how I execute, right? And then I wanted to show you those four terms right there. I wanted to show you what transgress is. I wanted to show you what fool is. I wanted to show you what reward is. And I wanted to show you what form is, okay? So if you put those terms in your back pocket, never move from those positions, I guarantee you're going to bring down your stress levels a whole lot, okay? And always ask yourself this question when you look in the mirror, when you're just walking around, who forms you, okay? There's something that forms you. You need to figure out what forms you, okay? Is it A for man? Is it B for God? Or C, I don't care? You may not know it, but you need to sit down and you need to do what we call some soul searching and ask, who is the one that's actually creating you and forming you and shaping you into what it is that you're going to be. Okay, my neighbor? All right, that's it. This one's off my heart now. We're going to put this together. We're going to upload it. We're going to see how it flows. I'll talk to you guys in the future. Remember, nobody's having more fun than us. Bye.